Well, we're finally here. 5 months after the release of the game, that rumored Battle Royale mode that was supposed to be in it is finally in. So, obviously, we're going to be talking about the Warzone game mode that just launched. It launched for me today, and I'm recording this the night of, but it's going to be coming out tomorrow. So, yeah, the release of Warzone, which just came out yesterday for you guys if you're watching this the day it comes out. And what can I say? It's a Battle Royale, but it actually does some stuff really nice. The game still feels super fluid. That's the biggest issue that I figured would, kind of be encountered, is whether or not the game would run smoothly. But I feel like they've done a really good job with this game of making sure that everything runs, top of the line. When it first released and everything, I was super impressed that it stays so stable, because this really is the first and only Call of Duty that's ever been released on PC that actually runs like it should, and it isn't just a terrible port of, the previous Call of Duty, or the Xbox or PlayStation versions. So, yeah, still runs really smooth, so that's always super nice. But there's some small changes here and there. So I'm going to go over those because this isn't your traditional Battle Royale, I guess. So the first thing to note is that instead of this being, I guess the higher end of most Battle Royales are 100 player lobbies, this game actually uses 150 player lobbies, which I don't know how I feel about that. At first I was thinking that the matches were going to run super long, because not only is there 150 people in the map, but it's a huge map, and there's sort of like these mechanics that can kind of bring you back to life. So if you charge in and you die, you'll obviously get killed, but you get captured, which is sort of like a weird mechanic where it gives you like a cutscene of you being dragged to like a prison, and it's literally called the Gulag, which is hilarious to me because that's always like a Russian prison term that is just so stupid, but it's funny. But yeah, you get dragged to the Gulag, and you're literally just up in these rafters watching people in the middle 1v1, and once it rotates through a couple people, if you get picked to do the next match, which it kind of just cycles through everybody, you 1v1 somebody, and if you win, you respawn into the map, which I thought was really interesting and kind of a cool mechanic. But obviously, if you lose, you just become a spectator of the match, and you watch your teammates run around, and the only way to get back at that point is if your teammates have collected enough money in the game to use one of these sort of like computer systems that you can come across. They're called like shops or whatever, and you can use your money to buy like all kinds of like kill streaks and stuff like that, and even like a supply loadout box that will drop down and let you pick from a couple of different loadouts and stuff, which is kind of cool. But you can also buy a revive for your down or like your dead teammates, which I thought was really cool. But I thought this was really going to prolong the matches, because if there's already like a 1v1 mechanic where you can get pretty much back in if it's your first death, that's going to prolong the match, because then you basically have to die twice, and then you can also revive your teammates if you're wealthy enough. But the one match that we played to completion didn't actually take all that long, and it was an enjoyable experience. So I think it was just kind of me thinking the worst, I guess, but it's actually not that bad, because as you would expect, the game has a sort of circle system where it kind of pushes you towards the center of the map, of course, so that way everything's not completely prolonged. But the timers on those are relatively small, so that way it pushes you towards the middle as quickly as possible. And yeah, I think it works out pretty well, surprisingly, with as many people and as big as the map is. So yeah. And, of course, speaking of the map and everything, this map is, of course, huge. But it works out really well because there's all kinds of vehicles and stuff like that. If you've played the ground war game mode at all, then you pretty much like understand the vehicle system and everything. There's ATVs and even like there's even these like gigantic like cargo trucks that you can drive, and there's helicopters and stuff like that. So I mean, there's modes of transportation to get you through the map quickly, as well as like I mean, the circle isn't going to move so quick that you can't just like run your way into the circle, but I mean there are vehicles if you get like stuck outside of it or whatever because you ended up looting too long or whatever the case may be. But different vehicles have different sorts of capacities, I guess you could say. So the big cargo truck that we used in one of our matches, you can only have a driver in it, which is kind of weird, considering there's like a passenger side door and it even looks like there's a seat in there, but nobody else can actually get into the cab of the truck. You have to like jump in and like lay down in like the bed of the truck, which is really interesting. So it's actually kind of cool though, because like when we were doing it, it was playing well enough to where you could actually like lay down in the back of the truck and shoot out the back of it without it being super laggy and like, you know, terrible as you would kind of expect it to. But there's also like ATVs, which can obviously use 2 people. There's helicopters, which can hold several people. I don't know for sure how many because we've not actually used one, but we did fight one at one point, and there was at least a driver and one person holding on to like the side of it, like on the little like feet of the helicopter, I guess. So I would assume you could probably fit all like at least 4 people in it, considering there's a passenger side. But if it's anything like the truck, maybe not. But yeah, so the map is actually really cool. It when you first start the match, it actually spawns you in sort of PUBG style, where you're in like a huge cargo plane and you're flying over and you're like looking down across the map and figuring out where you want to go. But it's really cool because as you're looking down on the map and you're inside the plane, you're looking down on all of these different places that you can go, and some of them are like old Call of Duty maps. That I know for sure Boneyard is one of them. That's the most that recognizable that I've seen, and I think that one's from Modern Warfare 2. But yeah, there's all these like maps and stuff like that from different Call of Duty games, and some of them are original for them, like the Battle Royale map itself, but you can see the names of them like up above the areas. Like you're not looking at a map to tell you what these areas are called, which is really cool. And like as you jump out of the plane and, you know, make your way down to the ground, those words obviously disappear, and you're, you know, making your way across with your like feet and everything. So I don't know, I thought that was really cool and, you know, pretty neat. But yeah, so the first match that we did, it was pretty solid. We didn't have sort of any issues. And then like after we died and everything and sort of learned the basic mechanics to the game, we queued up again. And the second game was a little bit more how I was expecting it to be the whole time. But it was really laggy. There was you could definitely tell that you were lagging as you were just walking around and stuff like that, and then like other people were sort of bebopping around, and that one was a really rough match, and we killed a couple of people, but ultimately ended up getting, you know, wiped out. But the third match that we did, which is surprising that it was only our third match, we ended up making our way with it was me and a buddy of mine, and then we had a random on our team. And we actually made it all the way to the very end of the match and won, which was really neat, super fun. It was very enjoyable, actually. And yeah, so I don't know. I would say if you're looking for like just to try it out, because I mean it's literally free to play for anybody. All you have to do is go onto the Blizzard launcher, and then you can go to the store and just you look around. There's a huge banner advertising Warzone, but it's really cool actually. Surprisingly, even though it's really late to the party, I think it turned out pretty alright. And I mean, there's tons of loot and stuff like that, like scattered around the map. Like every building that we went into had like loot scattered throughout the floors and stuff like that. So it's not super like scarce. I know that was kind of a big deal with PUBG for a while when we used to play it. Is like you would go into tons of these houses, like smaller houses and stuff like that, scattered throughout the map, and there just wasn't anything in them. That doesn't seem to be an issue here. So yeah. I don't know. I would say it was a fun and enjoyable time. I'm sure we're going to be playing it because we've been playing a lot of Call of Duty lately for some reason. But I'm sure we'll end up playing this a little bit more as we progress through the coming weeks, and eventually it'll drop off because it all does. So anyways, those are just my thoughts and opinions. I'd love to hear what you guys thought if you played it day one or anything like that. And yeah, so I guess that's it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next episode or video or whatever I end up putting out. So yeah, see you then.